Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today in this portion of the video, this is part 2 of our video, we're going to talk about 5 tips to guiding your adult child. So whether they're going off to college or into the workforce, you're still a parent, right? So they still need you. This is something that was hard for me to digest. You're still a parent, they still need you, just in a different way. So we're going to talk about, again, 5 tips to guiding your adult child. Well, the first thing that we need to get clear is that you're going to do less parenting and more mentoring. That's off the top. So these tips are going to help you maybe step into the mentor role and less of a parental role. Because again, these are for adult children. They don't need us in the same way as they did when they were younger. And again, and just go back and watch part 1 of this video and you'll kind of see my emotional response to how that made me feel when I had to realize that I'm still the parent, but just how I parent has changed. All right, so tip number 1 is be open. Let's pause for that one. Okay, parents, we have to be open to our children. Now, these are adult children, so we can probably be more open to some of the things that have gone on in our own personal life than we could before, because they were younger. They may not could have handled certain things, but now that they are adults, young adults, and I'm not saying you have to tell them everything. Some things in the past for parents, none of us need to share. I'm not saying that, but be open. If they ask you a question about partying, about college life, try to be open. You know, you may not want to share, again, every single detail of it, but let them know that, hey, yeah, I partied hard too. You know, I did this, I did that. Be open with them. And I think that is the foundation of the mentorship role that we're going to step into. If that you're open with them, I think it's going to allow them to be more open with you. So tip number 2 is listen. You have to be a good listener. All right, so wait to give advice. So when you're listening, when we're at tip number 2 and being a good listener, you have to wait to give advice. You want to listen to what they have to say, let it process for you, and then give them advice. Now, when you give the advice, it has to be advice that's relevant to them, that's specific to them, not the advice that we want them to do, but depending upon what they just told you, and if you've listened and let it digest, they are coming to you for advice, right? So you have to give them advice that's relevant and pertinent to their situation, not advice that's gonna, guide them the way we want them to go. Now, if that's pertinent, if guiding them in a certain way helps them and us, great. But be careful with swaying the advice, because of course we know better. I mean, come on, with the parents, we know better. We know that. That's off jump. We know better than they do. But at that moment, you don't want to act like you know better than them. Just listen to them and give advice that is pertinent and that's specific to them in that particular situation. Okay, number 3 is be relevant. You want to be relevant to your kids. I mean, everybody wants a cool parent, right? No. You have to be relevant to them. So don't be afraid to let them know that, you made mistakes too. Again, you may not want to tell them every single detail, iota, minute thing of the mistake, but a good overview of the mistake was probably good, because that lets them know that, hey, mom was in college and she made kind of the same mistakes too, and look at her now. She was able to bounce back. She's great. She's successful. And then also too, you want to share your mistakes, because then they can also see that it didn't work out. Had I not made that mistake, this wouldn't have happened. And they can see that too, and that can guide them kind of on the right path, not to go down that same road of making that mistake. So You want to be relevant. Don't be afraid to share that you did make a few mistakes, and you still are making mistakes. Even as an adult parent, you still are. We all make mistakes. So be relevant to them. Let them know that you know what's going on. You know that this day and time is a little bit more difficult for them than it may have been for us when we were coming along. But let them know that, again, you're here for them. You're open for them. And, just being relevant. Okay, tip number 4. Parents, be ready to provide a soft landing. Now, we just talked about in the previous tip about making mistakes, and we know our children will make them. And if they make a mistake, whether really big or really small, when they come to us with that mistake, be ready to provide a soft landing. This is not the time for, I told you so. Had you listened to me, this wouldn't have happened. And I'm guilty of that. I am totally guilty of doing that. But as I've matured as a parent and learned how to, guide him more, you have to provide a soft landing. When they come to you with the mistakes, they already know that it was a mistake. They know they need help. That's why they're coming to us. Just be prepared to provide options, a soft landing. Now, you still need to address the mistake and let them know, now, you're right. We probably shouldn't have done A, B, and C. Next time, let's do this different. You have to take that moment to teach them and to guide them and let them know. You have to agree that it was a mistake. Let's don't go down that road again. But how we do it will determine if they'll come back to us again if they make another mistake, if they need, because we don't want them to not come to us if we don't provide a safe place and a soft landing for them to share their mistake. The next time they make a mistake, they won't come to us. And if they don't come to us, it may make the situation worse because they don't know how to properly handle it. So make sure you provide a great soft landing for them when they're in trouble, when they make a mistake, and we can help them, move on. And finally, guys, pray. We have to pray for them. This is the most important. It's really tip number 1. You want to always pray for your children. Prayer does marvelous things. And you don't really have to know exactly what's going on with a person to pray for them. So you always want to make sure that you're praying for your children in all ages, but especially when they're transitioning to adulthood, because as we discussed in this video, this is new territory for them. These are things that's going to be new for them, and they are going to make mistakes, and we have to pray for them. Prayer should always be at the forefront of any situation, but specifically here, prayer will help them and us. It will help all of us succeed. It'll help us feel better about the decisions we have to make, and it'll help us bounce back from the mistakes that we made. So make sure that we hold on to them and pray for them. All right, parents, you got this. I mean, moving forward, you're going to do great at guiding your adult child. So if you'd like to continue the conversation, make sure that you leave a comment below. Make sure that you like and subscribe this video. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye.